The town of Millbrook, Wisconsin, had exactly 2,847 residents, one traffic light, and a secret that had been rotting beneath its frozen surface for 15 years. Maya Chen knew this because she had researched every article, every police report, and every forgotten forum post about the death of Jenny Miller before packing her bags in New York City. Jenny was 17 when she drowned in Miller's Pond on a warm September night in 2011. The official ruling was accidental death. The unofficial ruling, whispered in dive bars and church basements, was that someone in Millbrook got away with murder. Maya's true crime YouTube channel had 47,000 subscribers, which was not enough to pay rent, but it was enough to buy a bus ticket to Wisconsin and a cheap motel room for a week. She believed this case would change everything. She believed she was walking into a story about a dead girl in a town that wanted to forget. She did not believe, not for a single second, that someone in Millbrook was already watching her every move, counting down the hours until she arrived. The bus dropped Maya at a gas station on the edge of town. It was February, and the wind cut through her expensive city coat like it was made of paper. She pulled out her phone and started recording immediately, speaking in a low whisper for the vlog she would edit later. Millbrook, she said, panning the camera across the empty main street. Population just under 3,000. Home to the coldest winter I have ever felt, and the coldest case I have ever worked on. She smiled at the camera, that practiced, empathetic smile she had perfected over 3 years of making videos about dead strangers. She did not notice the man sitting in the gray pickup truck across the street, the one with the engine running and the newspaper held just high enough to hide his face. She did not notice that he had been sitting there since dawn, waiting for a girl with a camera to step off a bus. His name was Ethan Ward, and he taught history at Millbrook High School. He was also the last person to see Jenny Miller alive. Maya checked into the Millbrook Motor Lodge, a sad collection of brick buildings that smelled like mothballs and regret. The owner, an elderly woman named Doris, watched Maya sign the register with suspicious eyes. "You here for the ice fishing?" Doris asked. Maya lied and said yes. Doris did not believe her. That night, Maya set up her laptop and went live. The stream was titled "I'm in the town where a girl drowned under suspicious circumstances 15 years ago." The locals are already acting weird. 200 people watched in the first 10 minutes. It was a good start. She talked about the case, about Jenny, about the rumors of a diary that had never been found. In the chat, a user named MillerLover2011 typed, "Ask them about the fire at the old Miller house." Maya read it aloud and promised she would. She went to sleep feeling accomplished, feeling like a real journalist. She did not hear the footsteps outside her door at 3 a.m. or the soft sound of paper sliding under it. In the morning, she found a handwritten note on the floor. It said, "The pond is frozen. So are the old questions. Go home." The threat did not scare Maya. It excited her. She filmed the note for her next video, holding it up to the camera with trembling hands that she hoped looked brave rather than terrified. "Someone in this town does not want me asking questions," she whispered. "Which means there are answers to find." Her subscriber count ticked up by 1,000 overnight. She decided to start with the one person who might actually talk, retired Detective Frank Holloway, the man who had closed the Jenny Miller case in 2011 and declared it an accident. Holloway lived alone on a small farm 5 miles outside of town. Maya called him 3 times before he answered. His voice was gravel and bourbon. "I told the truth 15 years ago," he said. "I got nothing new for you." Maya asked for an interview anyway, on camera, just to set the record straight. There was a long pause. "Fine," he said. "But I'm not coming to you. You come to me. And you come alone." Maya agreed immediately. It was her first mistake. Holloway's farm looked like a place where things went to die. Rusted tractors sat in the yard like skeletons. The house itself was dark, even in the middle of the afternoon. Maya set up her camera in his kitchen while Holloway watched her from a chair, a bottle of whiskey already open on the table. He was 60 years old but looked 80, his face a roadmap of broken capillaries and regret. She started the interview carefully, asking about the night Jenny died. Holloway's answers were short, rehearsed. Yes, they found her in the pond. Yes, she had been drinking. Yes, it was ruled an accident. But then Maya asked about the diary. Holloway's hand tightened around his glass. "There was no diary," he said. "That's just town gossip." Maya pressed him. "Then why did Jenny's best friend say she wrote in it every day? Why did her mother report it missing?" Holloway stood up suddenly, his chair scraping against the linoleum. "I said there was no diary. Now get your camera out of my kitchen." Maya packed up quickly, but not before noticing the framed photograph on his mantelpiece. It was a fishing trip, maybe 20 years old. Holloway was in it, smiling. Next to him stood a young man Maya did not recognize. But behind them, barely visible in the background, was a teenage girl with long brown hair. It was Jenny Miller. Maya could not stop thinking about that photograph. Jenny was not supposed to be in Holloway's personal life. She was a case file, a victim, a stranger. But there she was, standing behind him at a fishing trip, part of his world. Maya went live that night, her face pale under the motel room lights. She told her audience about the photo, about Holloway's anger, about the note under her door. The chat exploded. Miller Lover 2011 donated $50 and typed, "Holloway knows more than he told. Dig into his finances in 2011. Maya wrote it down. The next morning, she drove to the Millbrook Public Library to access old newspaper archives on microfilm. The librarian, a nervous woman in her 60s, helped her find the right reels. Maya spent hours scrolling through pages, looking for anything about Holloway, about Jenny, about the pond. And then she found it. A small article from October 2011, buried on page 12. Local detective receives anonymous donation for new boat. The donation was for $20,000. It came 1 month after Jenny Miller's death was ruled an accident. Maya took a photo of the article with her phone. Her hands were shaking again. The next name on Maya's list was Ethan Ward. She had seen his face in old yearbooks, the handsome senior who dated Jenny, the boy who found her body in the pond. Now he was a history teacher at the local high school, married, 2 kids, respected by everyone. Maya requested an interview through email. He responded within an hour, polite and willing. "I've spent 15 years trying to remember that night clearly," he wrote. "Maybe talking about it will help." They agreed to meet at a coffee shop in town. Maya arrived early, setting up her camera at a corner table. Ethan walked in at exactly 2 p.m. He was taller than she expected, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He ordered coffee, sat down, and looked directly into the lens. "Ask me anything," he said. The interview was going well until Maya mentioned the anonymous donation to Holloway. Ethan's face did not change, but his hand twitched slightly around his cup. "I didn't know about that," he said. "But Frank always had expensive hobbies." Maya nodded and moved on. But later that night, reviewing the footage in her motel room, she noticed something strange. During the interview, Ethan had referenced a detail about her livestream that she had never mentioned on camera. He said, "I saw your viewers were really interested in the timeline last night." But last night, during the stream, Maya had only discussed the timeline in response to a private message from Miller Lover 2011, a message that was not read aloud. Ethan should not have known about it. Unless he was Miller Lover 2011. Maya did not sleep that night. She stayed awake, scrolling through the chat logs from her previous streams, comparing the writing style of Miller Lover 2011 to Ethan's polite, formal emails. They were different, but something else bothered her more: the timing. Miller Lover 2011 always joined the stream exactly 2 minutes before she went live, as if he knew the schedule in advance. And Ethan, when she had asked him how he found her channel, said he had just stumbled upon it. Maya decided to test him. During her next live stream, she announced that she would be visiting the old Miller house the following afternoon at 3 p.m. She did not mention it anywhere else. The next day, she drove to the abandoned house on the edge of town and waited. She did not go inside. She parked a block away and watched. At 3:15, a gray sedan pulled up. Ethan Ward got out. He walked to the front door of the Miller house, tried the handle, and looked through the windows. Then he stood there for a long time, staring at the rotting porch, his hands in his pockets. Maya filmed everything. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought he might hear it. The confrontation happened 2 days later. Maya drove to Ethan's house, a modest suburban home with a swing set in the backyard. She did not call ahead. She did not bring her camera. She knocked on the door, and when Ethan answered, she said quietly, "I know it's you. Miller Lover 2011. I know you've been watching me since I got here." Ethan's face went pale, but he did not deny it. He stepped outside and closed the door behind him. "You need to leave this alone," he said. "Not for me. For Jenny." Maya demanded the truth. And Ethan, standing on his own front lawn in the cold February air, finally gave it to her. He told her that Frank Holloway had been taking bribes from a local construction company in 2011. Jenny found out. She kept records in her diary. On the night she died, she confronted Holloway at the pond. They argued. Holloway pushed her. She hit her head on the edge of the boat and fell into the water. Holloway watched her drown. Then he fabricated the accident report and used his connections to bury the investigation. The anonymous donation for his boat was payment for his silence, laundered through a shell company. Maya asked the obvious question: if you knew this, why didn't you go to the police? Ethan's jaw tightened. Because I had no proof. Holloway destroyed the diary. He made sure every piece of evidence pointed to an accident. I spent years trying to find something, anything, that would expose him. I collected rumors, talked to witnesses, built a file. But without the diary, without a confession, it was just the word of a grieving boyfriend against a decorated detective. He looked at Maya with desperate eyes. That's why I watched your streams. I thought if someone with a platform, someone from outside this town, started asking questions, Holloway might slip. He might get scared and make a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted justice for Jenny. Maya believed him. She also knew that she was now in possession of information that could destroy Frank Holloway, but only if she could prove it. She needed that confession. She needed Holloway to admit what he had done. The plan was reckless, and Maya knew it. She would confront Holloway on camera, live, in front of her entire audience. She would present the evidence she had gathered, the photograph, the newspaper article, Ethan's testimony. She would force him to answer. Holloway agreed to another interview, apparently eager to clear his name. He did not know that Ethan was waiting in Maya's car, listening through an earpiece she wore. He did not know that 40,000 people were watching in real time. The interview started calmly. Maya asked about the fishing trip photo. Holloway said he barely remembered it. She asked about the donation. He said it was a gift from a grateful citizen. And then she asked about the night Jenny died. Holloway's composure cracked. "I told you," he said, his voice rising. "It was an accident." Maya leaned forward. "Jenny's diary said she had proof of your bribes. You pushed her, Frank. You watched her drown. And then you took the diary and you burned it." Holloway stared at her. For a long moment, the only sound was the wind outside. Then he laughed. It was a horrible, broken sound. "You think you're so smart," he said. "You think you can come here and play detective. You don't know what it's like in a town like this. You don't know what people will do to protect themselves." He stood up. The interview was over. 3 hours later, Maya's phone rang. It was the Millbrook Police Department. Frank Holloway was dead. He had been found in his farmhouse, dead of an apparent heart attack. But there were bruises on his face, signs of a struggle. Maya went live immediately, her face white with shock. She told her audience what had happened, her voice cracking. She did not notice that Ethan's car was no longer parked outside her motel. She did not notice that her messages to him were going unanswered. In the chat, viewers were speculating wildly. Some said Holloway's death was divine justice. Others said Maya had pushed him too far. And then a new user joined the chat, a user with no history, no donations, no messages. The user typed one sentence: "Check the old Miller house. In the basement. Behind the water heater." Maya stared at the screen. She grabbed her coat and her camera and ran. The Miller house was dark and cold, the floorboards groaning under her feet. Maya descended into the basement, her phone light cutting through the blackness. Behind the water heater, hidden in a plastic bag, was a moldering notebook. Jenny's diary. Maya opened it carefully. The pages were water-damaged but legible. Dates, names, amounts of money. And on the last page, written the day she died, "I told Frank I know everything. He said we could work it out. I'm meeting him at the pond tonight. If something happens to me, this diary is the truth." Maya sat on the dirty basement floor and wept. She did not hear the footsteps upstairs. She did not see the shadow that passed in front of the basement door. Ethan Ward stood in the kitchen of the old Miller house, holding a gas can. He had found the diary weeks ago, after Maya's first stream. He had kept it hidden, waiting for the right moment. And now, with Holloway dead and the truth finally written, he had one last thing to do. He poured the gasoline across the floor and lit a match. Maya smelled the smoke before she saw the flames. She ran, clutching the diary to her chest, bursting through the back door just as the kitchen exploded behind her. She collapsed in the snow, coughing, burning, alive. The diary was safe. The truth was safe. But Ethan Ward was nowhere to be found. He vanished that night, leaving behind a wife, 2 children, and a town that would never stop whispering his name. Maya's channel reached 5 million subscribers the next week. She never made another true crime video. And somewhere in America, a man named Ethan Ward watches the news, waiting for the day someone finds him, waiting for the day he can finally tell his side of the story.